We're doing a world premiere right now of Loose Change, 9/11, an American Coup.
I watched it.
How'd you like?
I know. I watched it today with my mom and my son, Buck, 14. My son's 14. We were watching it. My son, he says just like this. He goes, "They did it themselves, didn't they?"
They did
it themselves.
A child sees this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, that movie's kind of painful, though. I'm glad you're selling it and you're wanting me to, talk about it, but it's kind of painful when it's like detail after detail after horrifying detail of like how you blow a building up. Why did Building 7 fall? Nothing stopped it. It was in free fall. I mean, zero gravity free fall. And it's like, how much more truth are the American people prepared to handle, because it seems like every day there's more of it. And, Rush Limbaugh and these types, they're having to work extra hard to, turn all that truth into a big fat lie, which they do really well. Rush Limbaugh, he finds the kernel of truth everywhere and then turns it into a big fat lie. I guess it takes like all that Vicodin and Oxycontin and Viagra to get him fueled up, but he does a damn good job. And I don't know, I feel kind of sorry for him, because he's going to have to be working extra hard for the amount of truth that the American people are actually seeing these days,
Well, let's hope we can get some more of this out there.
They're doing a good job with, going after Acorn. They're doing a real good job now of, placing the blame downward, which is what those guys are experts at, what they're there to do, why they're paid hundreds of millions of dollars to keep the blame off the few people at the top and place the blame downward. But again, for my friend Linda, who never forgot, and for myself and all the other people like me, let's keep trying to put the blame upward on the people who actually caused this problem, whose fault, the economic collapse, the war, everything else. Let's blame the people who are actually responsible. Let's keep looking at truth and getting there, no matter how painful it is, no matter how much propaganda we're hit with the next couple of days after we hear something about Cheney. Then they attack Acorn, or then they throw in a white kid getting beaten by black kids. I mean, they're really, really preparing us for blood in the street. That's what they're preparing us for, aren't they? They're pushing it. Well, they're pushing a crazy extremist mind in America to do that. That's what they want. That's what they want. They want, some crazy white folks out there going against their crazy black folk neighbors. That's what they want. Oh my God, I'm so horrified.
Well, they want to keep you busy and not paying attention to all this information that's coming out. What we're focusing in on today is this incredible new film, Loose Change, 9/11, an American Coup. And as you said, there is just evidence after, more and more of evidence coming out every day. And this film,
but all they can do is keep trying to obscure it, because Americans, like in Rome, I want to talk about Michael's movie, because he was talking about Rome, where they had circuses to keep people's minds off how they were starving and were being totally ripped off like Americans are. So, they just have one crazy circus after another right there in the media to keep us all detracted, to keep us thinking, keep us from actually letting it soak in what they have done to, the major cities in America, to the American worker, to the American business, small business owner, to America itself. What they have done is just appalling.
They've taken over completely. They have. We're going to.
It's a total coup.
I want us to play. I want you to talk a little bit later. I want you to talk about Michael Moore, but I want to get to a clip from this film, because we are in Fund Drive, and we know, how important it is to keep KPFK on the air, because you don't hear these voices. You don't hear Roseanne being able to speak her mind, anywhere, but here on KPFK, and that's due to the fact that people call in and pledge and donate. And we have something today that we're offering for a donation of $100. It's $10 a month for 10 months if you like. It's the Loose Change 9/11, an American Coup, the brand new DVD. We actually have a 2 DVD set we're offering our listeners.
It's like It's like a total update of the last one.
Oh, it's my favorite, and I thought it was so well done. So if you don't mind, we're going to play a clip. I want people to start getting on the phones right now. 818-985-5735, 818-985-KPFK. If you're I know you're listening around the world because this is the world radio premiere of sound from this film. So please call the number, but also you can pledge online at kpfk.org. I'm Christine Blasdale. I'm on with Roseanne Barr. We're going to be back after this clip, but stay tuned. This is from Loose Change 9/11, American Coup. This is the radio premiere.
The Twin Towers combined contained almost 500,000 tons of concrete. This was turned into particles the size of talcum powder, blanketing lower Manhattan in a fine dust. It also turns out that molten metal exceeding 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit was discovered in the rubble of Ground Zero, underneath the Twin Towers and Building 7. Firefighters, emergency workers, police, officials, even Rudy Giuliani testified to these massive temperatures. Even after heavy rain on September 14th and 21st, a constant stream of fire retardants and water described as creating a giant lake, these fires were not put out until December 13th, 2001, making it the longest burning structural fire in history. If one were going to bring down the Twin Towers in a controlled manner, you would have to simultaneously sever the 47 central support columns at the base of the building. Maybe that's why a large number of eyewitnesses reported massive explosions at the base of the Twin Towers, some before the planes had even impacted the building. In fact, large amounts of white smoke appear at the base of the South Tower just minutes before its collapse. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the Twin Towers? In almost all the videos of the collapses, violent ejections appear 20 to 60 stories below the demolition wave. Here, 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 and here. I know what you're thinking. If explosives or incendiaries were in the building, how would they get in there without anyone noticing? A December 2000 assessment of the World Trade Center recommended immediate renovation work on the steel columns contained within elevator shafts of both Twin Towers. Turner Construction, a company located on the 38th floor of the North Tower, was selected to do the job. Turner's CEO at the time was Tom Leppert, who had personal ties to George W. Bush and Carlos Gutierrez, Secretary of the Department of Commerce. The Department of Commerce is in charge of NIST, an agency that may sound familiar. Turner Construction also did fireproofing work on the very floors that were struck by Flights 11 and 175. Of course, all documents pertaining to Turner's work on the Twin Towers were destroyed on 9/11. In addition, President Bush's brother, Marvin, was on the board of directors at Securicom from 1993 until fiscal year 2000. Securicom, later known as Stratesec, was an electronic security company backed by Kuwait American Corporation, which provided security for United Airlines, Dulles International Airport, and from the early 1990s up to 9/11, the World Trade Center. According to the Port Authority, there are no records pertaining to the work that the company performed on the World Trade Center. So, a company with ties to the government agency that eventually investigated the collapse was responsible for doing renovation work inside the Twin Towers, and the building's security was run by a company with family ties to President Bush. And we have no records to prove what they did inside the buildings. Nothing suspicious there.
I often get asked, well, how did they use this nanothermite in the buildings? It's as if there are people just trying to cast doubt as if you can't explain everything, you have nothing. That's, of course, absurd. We have found unexploded, but explosive material in the dust. Now the next step is to find out who did it. So in other words, we've done the forensic CSI-style science. Now we need the criminal investigation to go along with that, to find out who could have made this stuff, first of all, and then who did make it. And then from there we can find out who ordered it being made and why.
If only we could have examined the steel from the World Trade Center. Unfortunately, the debris was almost immediately shipped overseas, being sold to the lowest bidder. This is destruction and removal of evidence from a crime scene. Family members and engineers were outraged at the decision and demanded that the steel be preserved for investigation. Bill Manning of Fire Engineering magazine publicly labeled the cleanup at Ground Zero a half-baked farce. Yet the operation continued until the site was officially clear on May 30th, 2002. Regardless of how it was done or who was responsible, what happened to the Twin Towers seems obvious enough. They were brought down in a highly engineered, unconventional, controlled demolition. It was a psychological attack on the American people, and it was pulled off with military precision.
That was a clip from Loose Change 9/11, An American Coup, the brand new film by Dylan Avery. We are offering it here for a $100 pledge on KPFK's Fund Drive. Give us a call right now. You don't only just get that DVD, you get a bonus DVD as well that is not going to be available to the general public, but you got to call us at 818-985-5735. I'm Christine Blosdale. Joining me on the phone is Roseanne Barr. Welcome back, Roseanne.
I was going to say that thanks. I was going to say that the visual of watching it is, the hearing it's one thing, but actually seeing it is just fantastic. You really need to get this. You really need to order this. You really need to know this information. Just take it all in. It's like another daily mind blower, but we need it.
Well, we need it because what if there is another false flag? I mean, look at the history of the wars in this government. We found out 40 years later that Vietnam was based on a lie. And there was how many...
Well, we don't need to go... You know what, Christine? I think, it's just incredible enough. The BS factor is incredible enough when we say that the poor are bailing out the rich.
Yeah.
That's right there. We don't even need to look for hidden conspiracies to find what's really crazy. The poor are bailing out the rich in this country right now. So I don't need any more conspiracy than that to know everything's upside down and screwed up. You know what? A lot of people say that what was in those towers, and especially in Building 7, was just the Enron records. This is just some kind of this is business too. It's a coup and it's all that other stuff, but it's like business too. They're getting rid of records, financial records of all the people the Bush family screwed.
It's that, and it's a seizing of power. Our civil liberties have been completely robbed of us. That we're in 2 wars that are continuing. It is so much stuff that is going on. Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Enron, though. Remember back then, those are the records that were in Building 7.
Well, and apparently all the other records, too, regarding the security work that was done, Turner Construction, the fireproofing on the very floors struck. The coincidences are too many. It was just a coincidence that they fireproofed the very floors that the planes came in and hit on. It was coincidence.
You know what? That's like the big story and Holder and everything, all these real stories. But look how the media sets us up to turn on each other. Look how the media sets the citizens of this country up to turn on each other.